My name is Commissioner Frank Avila, and the name of our show is Election 2014. And as my guest, I have Judge Cynthia Cobbs. Now, Judge Cobbs was appointed by the Supreme Court of Illinois as a circuit court judge in September 2011. Prior to her appointment to the bench, Judge Cobbs was the first female and first African American appointed by the Supreme Court to serve as director of the Illinois courts. In addition to her law degree, Judge Cobbs has a master in social work. Judge Cobbs resides in South Suburban Cook County, where she serves on the board of directors for South Suburban PAD, Public Action to Deliver Shelter. Thanks for being on the show, Judge Cobbs.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And you're running for election in 2014.
I am. I'm running in a countywide race for the Circuit Court of Cook County.
What's your qualification? We have all these judges, and the people know very few about what a judge, who is a judge, what they are. What's your qualification, and why do you want to run for a judge?
I'm glad you asked the question because it's one that judges and people who are running for judgeships get all the time, and it's important to know. I am actually an attorney, as are all individuals who run and are appointed or elected to the seat of judge. So I've been an attorney since 1988, and once after I became an attorney and finished law school, I began my career with the judicial branch. Started at the appellate court, clerked for about a year with Justice Charles E. Freeman, and once he was elevated to the Supreme Court in 1990, I joined him at the Supreme Court as his senior judicial law clerk, meaning that all of the cases that were assigned to Justice Freeman, who ultimately became chief, were also assigned for me to review and to assign to the junior law clerks, and we drafted opinions for the Supreme Court's consideration. After about 7 years as the senior judicial law clerk, I was offered an assignment with the administrative office of the courts. So I served as in the administrative office as a senior attorney, subsequently being elevated to Chief Legal Counsel for the administrative office, and then in 2002, appointed by the Supreme Court to serve as the director of the Illinois courts.
Well, you do have a lot of experience.
I do have a lot of experience, having served in the judiciary, writing and drafting opinions, serving as Chief Legal Counsel at the administrative office, and essentially serving as the Chief Operating Officer for the judicial branch of Illinois.
Now, Judge Cobbs, when you win the race in 2014, do you know what bench you're going to serve on, or what cases you're going to hear?
Well, currently I'm assigned to the 1st Municipal District here in the Circuit Court, and I sit in the Daily Center. I hear cases involving debt collection, breach of contract, subrogation, and property damage. So I would assume, although the Chief Judge enjoys the prerogative to assign all judges to assignments, I would assume that I will continue to serve in the capacity that I now serve, although every judge coming in for the first time in the Circuit Court of Cook County typically does a stint in traffic court, and I certainly did that for about a year. That was my first assignment, and during that same time, I was assigned also to hear some matters in what we call forcible entry and detainer, which is eviction court, and also served some time or spent some time in what we call pro se court. That's the courtroom in the Circuit Court of Cook County where individuals who are not represented by attorneys can come into the courtroom and can have their disputes adjudicated by a judge.
You know, being a judge, you have to know the law, but on the human side, you have to have a lot of heart. And because the cases that will appear before you, even though you have to follow the law, you got to have that heart when you're listening to people that are in court, that they're scared. You know, they say, "Who is this Judge Cobbs that I have to appear?" You know, they're scared of going to a judge because in our lifetime, we are going to go see a judge. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt in my mind.
No doubt.
And that's why it's very important to have a judge up on that bench that knows the law, but also has a little heart. And so were you born here in Chicago, Cook County?
Well, no, actually, I am what you might call a transplant. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, and in 1983, I married my best guy, and we moved here to Illinois. And Illinois is where I actually went to law school. I did all of my graduate and undergraduate work in Maryland. I got my master's in clinical social work at the University of Maryland. Once we came here to Illinois, I then got my JD from Chicago, Kent.
Very good school. My daughter went to Chicago.
Is that
Kent,
right?
yes.
Yeah, they have a wonderful writing program, which is what really kind
Had
of...
a writing?
They have a wonderful legal writing program.
Oh, yes. Yeah. She does all my writing for me.
Oh, well, it's good to have somebody to do that for you. It's good to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, it served me well because as a judicial law clerk, especially in the Supreme Court, obviously your writing and your legal skills, the ability to analyze and to write memoranda of law and opinions for the court is essential. The Supreme Court, as you know, is the highest court in our state, the highest state court. And so it's critical that the individuals who serve as the judicial law clerks to the justices have great legal and analytical skills. So you know the law, you know how to find the law, you know how to apply the law.
Yeah, and not only that, you know all this, sir. I believe you have a lot of heart because you serve as a director for the South Suburban PAD, Public Action to Deliver Shelter. What does that mean?
Well,
what kind of group is that?
That group is actually a group that has a heart for the homeless. So irrespective of the myth that homelessness is only an urban issue, homelessness is an issue that impacts individuals statewide. And so South Suburban PADS is an organization that seeks to serve the homeless population there. We call them our guests. There are shelters that are provided for them. There are services that we provide for them through education, those services that would assist an individual who has simply fallen on bad luck be able to get back into the race and to be a contributing member of society. So that's what PADS is, and that's what I really have a heart for. So I've been serving there.
Well, it does show you have a lot of heart. Now, does that cover all ages, this PAD?
It does. It does. There is no, obviously, children are a different issue. They would fall into a different system, but adults who find themselves without shelter and are in need of services. PADS is a great organization and one that I've been working with for a couple of years now in my capacity as
well, that's excellent because I was grocery shopping the other night and they had a little table there and the organization was Shelter for Homeless Teenagers.
Okay.
And I went up and I talked to them, and I never realized the number of homeless teenagers that need a shelter.
Right.
And they're providing this type of home for the teenagers.
Right.
I mean, our society is such that we have a lot of people that are on hard times.
Sure. Sure. And you say that in my courtroom, I see that every day.
Yeah, I believe it.
I'm in the first municipal district, and as I indicated to you, I see a lot of cases involving debt collection. And more often than not, or the larger number of defendants who come into my courtroom are individuals who have fallen on bad luck and are unable for whatever reason. Either they've lost their jobs or something else catastrophic has occurred in their life, and they are behind in the payment of some debt. And so it's important that when those individuals come into the courtroom, just as you suggested, that they be put at ease, and certainly that the judge who is sitting there is sensitive to the issues and can hear not only the attorneys who are expressing or putting on their case, but also the defendants who, as I say, sometimes are not represented by an attorney.
Yes, I know, because they're scared. And as I mentioned, that we'll go through life, and definitely we are going to go appear before a judge, if it's in traffic court or a debt court, sooner or later, we are going to go visit a judge. And that's why I wanted the public to meet Judge Cobbs, because she is very well qualified, and also she'll obey the law. She'll follow the law, give a decision based on law, but she'll have a heart.
Absolutely.
And that's why my name is Commissioner Frank Avila, and I am endorsing Judge Cobbs. So I appreciate you all come out on election 2014 and give Judge Cynthia Cobbs a vote. And explain to our audience, why should a person vote for you, Judge Cobbs?
Well, I believe that I am qualified to sit as a circuit court judge. In 2011, after serving 9.5 years
Yes.
with the Supreme Court as its director, the 7 justices of the Supreme Court offered to me an opportunity to serve as a circuit court judge. That's important because it is the Supreme Court who, in the first instance, appoints judges to vacancies. After the Supreme Court appointed me, I presented my credentials to the Democratic slate makers in Cook County.
Yes.
The slate makers also determined that I was qualified and therefore endorsed me to run for this seat. I've been found qualified now also by the Chicago Bar Association. So those milestones, if you will, along the way, that journey, which has now gotten me to where I am sitting in the circuit court, confirm or affirm for me every day that I am qualified, I'm competent to continue to serve the people of Illinois in the judicial branch of government.
That's excellent, because you're right, because the Illinois State Supreme Court is the top court where any residents could go to at the last appeal.
Absolutely.
There, and we have to have top Supreme judges up there to decide who they're going to hire to write and review these
That's
briefs.
correct.
And they selected you to write these briefs.
Well, I was honored when Justice Freeman invited me to be his senior clerk.
Now, how many people are you seeing a day now?
Oh my goodness, I am in what we call a high volume courtroom.
High volume?
High volume courtroom. Believe it or not, debt collection is very serious business on my floor and in my courtroom. So on any given day, the number of cases that might appear on my docket could be as many as 60 to 75 cases.
Oh, that's a lot of cases.
Yeah, that's
60
in the morning.
to 70?
60 to 75.
Do you sleep at night? or do you just work 24 hours a day?
Well, I do get a chance to sleep at night. I do work the entire day that I'm there. And on the weekends, I take motions because I hear motions in the afternoon. So I take my contested motions home with me on the weekends so that I'm prepared for the week coming.
Oh my gosh, so you're working 7 days a week. You're a dedicated judge. My God, and that's why I'm going to vote for you come 2011, Commissioner Frank Avila. And as I mentioned, I'm endorsing you.
Thank you very much.
Because I know you got 1, you got the qualification. 2, you know the law. And 3 is that you have a heart. And I think that's the key, that a judge that sits up there has to have a heart when they're dealing with the people, because the people are afraid of judges.
That's important to know.
Oh my God, they probably won't sleep at night. They'll say, who is this Judge Cobb? And now the people could see, here's Judge Cynthia Cobbs.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so what are your vision that you could see in being a judge for the next year or 2 years? Do you see any changes in the judicial system, the way we bring people to court?
Well, much of how people get to court depends on the laws that are written by the legislature. Not only does the legislature decide what types of cases, and how cases come to court based on the laws, the Supreme Court, of course, has rulemaking authority, which also impacts the judicial system. And remember now, the Supreme Court has supervisory and administrative authority over all of the courts in the state of Illinois. That's the large part. But the smaller part that circuit judges can do certainly is to manage their court calls efficiently and effectively, to be prepared for court every day, to start court on time every day, to be respectful of the litigants who appear every day, and to be mindful that everybody should have an opportunity to be heard. I'm currently working on a project on the 11th floor, which might have gotten me in a little bit of trouble, but coming from the administrative office, I worked with the Committee on Education in developing bench books to be used by judges. Well, myself and another judge who had been sitting on the 11th floor thought that would be a great idea as well for 11th floor judges. So currently I'm serving as the chairperson of the bench book committee on the 11th floor, in the hopes that judges who sit there permanently or judges who come even temporarily would be aided by just having a document available to them to tell them a little bit about how to manage the call and the kinds of things to expect and how they might be managed.
Well, let's vote for Judge Cobb.
Thank you.
Any comments? 30-second comment?
30-second comment. I want to thank you, Commissioner Avila, for having me on your show, and I especially want to thank you for your wonderful endorsement of me. I do happen to be one of the slated candidates by the Democratic Party, and I hope that people will come out and vote on March 18th, 2014. Vote for the Democratic slate. Vote for Judge Cynthia Cobbs, and thank you so very much for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.